All right, I think we are live now. Sorry for the late start, guys, but thank you for joining us with Narrations and Lamentations with Mittierim and the boys. As always, I am Mittierim. With me are the boys Skip and Michael, and we have a very special guest expert for our Tomb Kings review tonight, Lord Tremendous. Go ahead and introduce yourself for like the two people on my channel that aren't also subscribed to yours.
Hi, I'm Lord Tremendous. I used to play Warriors of Chaos pretty religiously, and then I had a change of heart, and I went over to Tomb Kings, and that's quickly starting to go over to Undead Legion, just because, I'm a bandwagon kind of guy. And I met Mitt while walking down the beach one day, and we talked about our armies and stuff. It was glorious. He has soft hands. And yeah, all in all, it was good, and that's why I'm here. I have a YouTube battle report page, Tremendous Battle Reports. It's okay, I kind of suck at the game, but other than that, it's fun.
Let's go ahead and start off a little bit and tell folks what we're working on as far as the hobby goes this week. Skip, why don't we start off with you?
What I'm working on? Well, I got to find my voice first.
He came over the other day and sounded like Christian Bale's Batman. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been painting peasants this week again, so that's what I've been working on.
So how many till you get to the magic number 100?
I have 13 left to paint.
That's not bad.
Damn, nice. And he's going to field them as a giant peasant brick that'll break on turn 1 and run off the table. So.
No, it's turn 3 on my guys.
Turn 3 on your guys? Awesome.
Yeah.
So they're 3 times as good as the normal peasants.
Right.
All right. All right, Michael, what you got?
Been working on the pointy-helmed elf people. Which
don't hate him for that, Tremendous. He needs just a break from dwarves.
I never hate the individual. I just hate the army. I don't like elves. He's not an elf, so he's cool by me.
Yeah, no. I'll tell you, there's parts of that elf book. For instance, the fact that they basically make them to be dwarves that pissed me off to no bound. Oh, our hair is magical and gives us strength. Oh, you guys are. That's dumb. So much hate. So much hate.
Wow.
All right, Lord T, any projects in the works right now?
Just been working on the battle reports and trying to flesh out this new Undead Legions list. I'm trying to finish painting the Skeleton Warriors. I've only got like one unit filler left. I've just been busy with, work, real life, wife aggro, stuff like that. And I'm trying to guilt trip her into starting to paint my army. Her Etsy and crafts thing has exploded lately, so she's been busy doing that. So I'm using guilt trips and stuff, and it's just not working. So
it never works on my wife either. So
yeah, they seem impervious. It's crazy.
Yeah. So let's see. For me, I actually recently, and this will be a surprise to my viewers, I recently traded my dwarf army away to Skip in exchange for the Warriors of Chaos that he wasn't using. So,
Skip has joined.
So I am taking a step in your footsteps, Lord T, in that I'm fielding Warriors of Chaos, and I have totally fallen in love with a terrible unit from that book, and I think we used it. Let me see if I can grab it and show it off, because I'm pretty happy.
I want to know what it is. Hurry up! Oh yes, he got a beast.
No, it's actually no. See, I'm going, Slaughter Brute. I'm going one up on you. I'm actually using the Slaughter Brute.
Oh man, and I thought I liked pain. You're awesome.
Dude, Michael and I played my first game with him last night, and this was one of the only 2 models left on the board at the end of the game.
Really?
So I actually like it.
Is that because the dwarves were so not afraid of it that they just left it alone?
No, he was playing his knife ears.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Can you have the
No,
dragon
it's actually
or no?
it stayed alive because it ate a unit of Silverhelms by itself.
Yeah.
No, I didn't eat the entire unit. There's 3 of them left.
Okay,
Of the
just
8
about
that originated.
But so I'm really getting into it and painting like crazy. So like I have so much to do, but it's good to have stuff to do again. And I think I've kind of hit the end of the road with the dwarves. So they are on to another home who will apparently do them proud, and I'm cool with that.
Well, here's the big question. Here's the big question. Are you going exclusive Warriors of Chaos? Or are you going to embrace the Chaos Legions?
I think I'm going to leave the option open if I need to, but the way I'm kind of building it, I'm splitting my Chaos forces. Like my Demon Army is primarily Slanesh and Nurgle with a little smattering of Tzeentch now that I'm getting some stuff. And then my Warriors is going to be primarily Tzeentch and Khorne. So it
Okay.
kind of lets me get a little bit of everything and keep them separate. So I can mix them in, but I haven't really gotten the... I mean, we got the Glotkin book, but I've only read like 4 pages of it, and Daughter Aggro took the book away. So
Real life getting away a good fantasy. I understand.
I got to give her credit. I was trying to read it at the kitchen table, and she hopped up into my lap and like looked at the picture and started flipping the pages, asking to know what happens next. And I certainly wasn't going to sit there and read the Glotkin book to my daughter, who's 3. So I had to put it to the side for a minute.
And then, honey, the Nurgle demon infested the children with bile, and it was great. Why are you crying? Why is she... Oh, I'm in trouble.
Well, she saw me painting the Slaughter Brute, and she gave me crap because it has 3 tongues, and she says it's only supposed to have 1. She told me that was wrong.
She's not wrong. She just doesn't understand just how right she is, and that's why he has 3 tongues. She's not wrong.
All right, so before we get too distracted with fun talk of warriors, the reason we're here tonight is Tomb Kings. So we're going to kind of give our same general discussion that we did with the dwarves. I don't know if you saw the dwarf episode we did, Lord T.
Of course.
Oh, cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with everybody giving kind of a general impression of the army and rating it on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of mechanics, fluff, and fun, either fun to play with or against, and then we'll kind of hash it out, answer questions, and see if those numbers change at any point. So as our guest, Lord T, why don't you get us started?
Well, my general impression of Tomb Kings was high. I dropped Warriors of Chaos for them. I like the synergy of the army. I like the way everything is designed to complement everything else. It's an army that really works well together. You know, the core works great with the characters, which work great with the special and the rare. Almost everything, is really designed to synergize as opposed to standalone, which it really can't do for the most part. Obviously, when it comes to playability and stuff like that, I would rate it at a 10. Although, before I started playing them, I did believe they were closer to a 4 because I thought Tomb Kings were just insta-lose. The fluff and everything like that, the storyline behind them, why they are how they are, and the fact that they made the vampires and stuff like that, I love all that. So that's going to be a 10 easily. And as for playability, it is not a novice's army. And I know my early battle reports were like victory after victory, but that was because a lot of my opponents just didn't know what they were facing. And now that they've figured out what they're facing and they've bought the book and they've read up on their enemy and stuff, they're starting to hand me my rear, if you will. So, as an army that you can just pick up and go with, I would say a 5. As for being able to just play it and do well, a 5. You really need to know what you're doing, and like it's unforgiving unless you understand the synergy. I don't know if I'm describing that or explaining that well, but you can bail yourself out of some bad decisions, but not as easily as you can with other armies.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Michael, we'll switch to you next, since you along with me are one of the non-TK players. What's your rankings?
Fluff-wise, or initial impressions, with what Skip's shown me and what he's put on the board, the models look beautiful. It was a lot of fun to play against. So my initial impressions of it are easily a 9. I mean, they seem to do what they're supposed to do very well.
Okay.
Mechanic-wise, I would probably go. I'd probably give them a 6 because they look like they're supposed to do what they're made to do very well. And then for some reason, there's a jumbling in the dice or something, and they decide that's not what they're supposed to do. Which
You've
is
been watching
very...
Lord Tremendous's reports, haven't you?
Yes, I have. It's
My dice have
they
learned.
Yeah, they seem to want to do something, and it's like, no, we're not doing that. But so they seem like they're supposed to, but they seem to fail on the mechanics somewhere, and I don't really know them that well to point out the particulars. Fun to play against, or overall fun of it, they are easily a 10. Even though the only battle I had with Skip was a river of light that was just constantly deciding that the dwarves needed to be punished. It was still a fun game.
Yeah, did I tell you that I'm just going to switch my rare choices from the Warriors of Chaos out for River of Light?
Jesus Christ. I hate River so much.
All right, Batman, what you got for your ratings?
Well, I'll tell you what, I've always loved the fluff from the Tomb Kings. So as far as fluff-wise, I give them definitely a 10. I love the Egyptian feel to them. I love the way the models look. I love the War Sphinx. I love the Hero Titan, everything like that. I think it's a gorgeous-looking army when it's fully painted. Ease of play, I'm going to give it about a 5 because it is going to take a lot of synergy between to figure out what works and what doesn't. And I haven't kind of gotten to that point yet, but I did make some good notes on our last game. Other than the River of Light, I should have been gone out turn 2. But I did make some notes on what to do on that. As far as fun to play, I had a blast doing it. Even though I was getting my butt handed to me, it was really, really good. And I'll have to give them a 10 on that. So as far as my army choices, I think they're running a close second of what I have against Bretonia, if that tells you anything.
Okay. So it looks like I'm getting volunteered for Asshole of the Week again, so I guess I'll go ahead and give it out. All right, so mechanically, I'm going to give them a solid 5. I think that the thing I love about them mechanically is that they do perform so differently compared to the other undead army, the vampire counts, that they have their own niche in the game. That's great. The problem is other than generating a lot of power dice, there's really not anything I say that they excel at. They're kind of like the Empire if the Empire couldn't march. They're sort of second place on everything. And they heavily require that synergy that Lord Tremendous was talking about, which makes them unforgiving. I do see, just kind of looking at the army book and stuff, I see a lot of parallels to the issues I've been having in the Empire. So there's that. As far as the fluff, I noticed it's very interesting that you guys all kind of pointed to the models as the fluff. And I might spread that out and say that it definitely has a solid aesthetic. The models are very good for Egyptian models. Now, as somebody who frankly has never given a flip about ancient Egypt, it doesn't rub me the right way. So, but the fluff really, like, I tear through the fluff of most of these army books. And the Tomb King's fluff, it slogged on for a long time. Really, there's a couple of good little spikes in it, filled with just kind of boring. So, all in all, I'm going to give fluff a 5 rating too. I think that the idea that they were sort of the progenitors of vampires is awesome, and I like Cetra and like his whole story arc up until he died, but then he got boring when they brought him back. And as far as fun, this is where I am actually going to agree with you guys and go for 10. Mainly because they have chariots in units, and I love chariots. They're like my favorite unit type in the game. And the idea, like if I did Tomb Kings, it would be nothing but chariots. I would have like 2,500 points of chariots with characters on chariots, Lord of Undeath, so I could summon more chariots. That's how I would do things. But definitely,
You could do it.
I could, and that's and I would actually splash Undead Legions, so I could bring in all the chariots from them too. So corpse carts and mortis engines, all that fun. But so I would go 5, 5, 10 for mine. So that being the case, it seems like we definitely have some differing opinions. So what I want to do is, there's been an awful lot of questions. I mean, we probably won't even get to all these questions tonight, so I want to go ahead and start launching into them. Kind of riding on the back of what I was just talking about, Vince Venturella pops in, agreeing that the Tomb Kings have great flavor and aesthetics, but do they really have any great fluff? And so he wants to know, can any of us tell any of the memorable stories about the actual fluff? Is there anything that sticks out, or does it all kind of blend?
The whole Nagash story. I mean, not this new undead stuff, but the original Nagash, how he was the firstborn son that had to go and become a lich priest, and he always felt cheated by that. It's basically the undead Malekith story. You know, Malekith, instead of becoming, you know, the king of the elves, was just, you know, an army general, and he wanted more. Well, Nagash, the same thing. He became the priest, the magician, you know, king, but he wanted to rule the whole kingdom, and just that the way it ate away at him and stuff like that, and the way Nagash goes after his failed attempt at usurping the throne and everything like that, goes over to the Skaven area and eats all the warp stone, which, I mean, that's the equivalent of us going to the nuclear facility and eating all the uranium and getting more powerful instead of just burning up and dying. And then he becomes this, you know, Hulk guy, and it requires the entire known world at the time to go up against this guy to take him down. And he still has followers to this day, and now it's brought on the end times. But are you kidding me? No elf story is that good. The only other story that really compares is, well, I mean, Malekith's story is really good. And, geez, I can't even think anything other from the good guys that even compares to that storyline. The whole Nagash story arc is amazing. It's like it could be a Walking Dead episode, you know?
Yeah. I agree with you, but I would like to say no one here at Narrations and Lamentations thinks that you should go out and eat plutonium for Pat. That is clearly the opinion of our guest and not supported by the management.
Who are you to stop Darwinism, sir?
I don't care about stopping Darwinism. I just don't want the lawsuit to land on my desk.
That's fair. That's fair.
All right. And I would actually have to say, I think even beyond the Nagash stuff, like I said, I think Cetra's kind of characterization and whatnot is like the strongest part of the Tomb King story to me. The idea of a man who was so obsessed with conquest that he realized how large the world was and was like, I'm never going to do this, and they let him die frustrated and alone. I mean, that was... I think there's just something awesomely tragic about that.
That is true. That is a really good part. I always get Cetra and Al.
So, what about you, Michael?
I'd say, without having read the book ever, and having just read the Nagash stuff, is probably the same thing that Tremendous said, and it's comes down to how Nagash is this one dude that they've tried to kill forever and just can't seem to end. What they need to do is send a dwarf after him.
They do.
They tried that and he ate their god.
No. Not our building thing god. I'm talking about we send Grimnir after him. Because
Oh,
he won't be alive if Grimnir goes after him.
I'm still actually convinced that the way they're going to end this whole end times thing, because the last time they did the Storm of Chaos thing, Grimgor Ironhide like walked up and headbutted Archeon. I think this time it's going to be Gotrek, the Slayer. He's just going to like walk up and like just punch Nagash in the junk, and that's going to end it.
Yeah. Get out of my way.
So what about you, Skip?
I like the fluff that they created the first vampires, you know. And also, if it wasn't for Arcan the Black, this end of times thing would never have started. So, you know, you look at that. You need a Tomb Kings for all this to happen.
See, okay, I'm actually going to go and say Arcan the Black is actually my least favorite thing in the Tomb Kings book, because other than them just writing rampant stupidity for King Cetra, there is no freaking way that Arcan the Black should ever survive. Like, they specifically say in the book, like, he's a worshiper of Nagash, and it's openly known that he is, and that he just occasionally stops paying fealty to King Cetra. King Cetra besieges the city, and then he just, like, pays some faux worship and, like, gives lip service, and King Cetra goes, "Oh, well, I guess you're cool then," and leaves. Like, man, come on, man up and destroy his ass.
And this is why nobody likes Arcan the Black, because that guy's a dick.
Okay, so number 2 question from Vince. What do we think or would like to see happen to Cetra now that he's cut a deal with the Chaos Gods?
Oh, well. To Cetra?
Yeah, because remember at the very end after Nagash beats the crap out of him, he goes before the 4 gods and they're like, "We will rebuild you, make you stronger, faster," and then they play that $6 million man music? Or is that only in my head?
No, I think that was part of the story. Gosh, okay. I don't know, because I don't really want to see anything happen to him. I want to see the big titanic clash between Nagash, the superpowered Cetra, and whatever other superpowers come from the good guy's side after the next 2 books come out. I'm really looking forward to just seeing what happens. I don't want anything to happen to any of the big names until like the title fight at the end, you know? And then I just want to see them all get just destroyed, and then the dwarf come walking over and, you know, punch someone in the junk, and it's just kind of like, scratch that out of the book of grudges. All right.
And we're done with that one.
What I actually want to have happen, and it would fit in with what you're talking about, Lord T, I want to see his spirit be reforged into the new Fellblade. Like, they talk about that they're going to change him and whatnot. They never said they were going to let him stay a dude. It would be totally in line with the gods of chaos to just be like, all right, we've got this anger, hate-filled spirit who wants to kill Nagash. Let's literally turn him into a weapon and put him in the hands of the person that's going to do it.
I would like to see him turn on the dark gods, actually, and kill Nurgle and then take his place. I think that
Nagash
would throw a lot. No, Cetra. Like, they turn him, they make him super powerful, and then he turns on the gods, kills Nurgle, and then takes his place. Which he could do. I mean, death, decay. Yeah, the pestilence thing would be a little hard to push, but you could find a mini god to take that. And with all the love Nurgle's gotten from the whole damn world lately, I'd like to see him taken literally just off the map.
Yeah, but then GW would probably get burned down by all of the people who just bought the new Glotkin and all those new characters and stuff that they released.
Oh no, that all stays. They just worship. Now the name of their god just changes from Nurgle to Cetrol or something like that, you know?
Any thoughts from you boys?
If they worship chaos, they gotta die. If they worship Nagash, they gotta die. What I'm saying basically is, if they don't worship the trio of the dwarven gods, they gotta die.
They're already dead.
They gotta die again.
Oh, okay.
That's a true dwarf right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Say that to the new Carl Franz Ascendant out of the new book. I haven't seen the dwarves get any sweet new kits. I guess it's not even really a kit. New stats.
Because nobody likes the dwarves.
Right. So, all right. So number 3 from Vince. Apophis is dead, as are several other Tomb King special characters. What's the first special character you'd like to see out of a new unified undead? A character that's clearly Tomb King's, but represents the new sort of combined nature of the undead.
Ooh. Like a vampire that got killed but was raised back up. Like a hybrid. Like a vamp king. Something like that. Or a tomb-pyre. I don't even know.
You just want a tomb prince that can take Red Fury and always strikes first.
I would like to see a Tomb King that could take a dragon. That's really all I want. I want to be able to put my lord on a dragon again. And that's why I currently went over to the Vampire Lord with a dragon with the Unleashed thing. Because I can take a dragon, it's viable. And holy crap, is that thing a blender. But, ooh, a special character... Yeah, some sort of Vampire Tomb King combo. Like maybe a Necromancer that's also like a Necrotech. You know, instead of raising infantry and stuff like that, he raises arcane constructs that are, you know, gosh, I could go really left field with this.
I want a chariot Voltron. Let's just get 5 chariots combined together to this giant...
If these 5 chariots charge the same unit, they become Thunder Chaos Bone Guy.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I can see it.
What about you, Skip?
I'd like to see something ethereal for the Tomb Kings.
Ethereal?
You know, like a spirit of a cat or something like that. You know, a giant spirit cat, since the Egyptians worship cats.
Like a swarms. That would be cool. Ethereal swarms. That's a great idea.
Yeah, something to that effect.
I
changed my vote to that.
Well, why don't you just do it, like, put it together and make it an ethereal dragon?
I'm going to need a cigarette.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. The pants are coming off. I hope you're happy. No, oh, that would be outstanding.
So I'm going to skip Vince's 4th question because I think I'm going to use it as a topic for one of my Mittierim Fixes Warhammer shows because he was talking about the Ushabti. So let's go to MC1 Gamer, and he actually poses his first question straight to you, Lord T. Did the Nagash model scream when you lit it up?
Well, first, let me clarify. I didn't set it on fire. Death Holy Death did. That sick dark elf son of a B-word, it was his brainchild for months. He comes up to me like 2 months... When Nagash first dropped, he was like, listen, I want to do something and I want to put it on your channel. And I was like, I'm listening. And he goes, I want to buy Nagash, have it, you know, beautifully painted, and then I want to set it on fire. I'm like, why? And he goes, do I need a reason? I'm like, I'm in. Did he scream? Yes, you're damn straight he did. Did we laugh? Hard. That's why we had to put that's why I had to put music to it, because we were laughing so much and there were so many people around swearing, and yeah, there's no way I could have put that the original audio on there. So I had to get rid of all that and put that song on there. That was Death's choice too, by the way, the music that was played. But yeah, that was a glorious. It broke my heart a little bit, but at the same time, it was like I'm never going to see anything like this again. So
yeah. So just for the record, I watched it at work, and I work in I manage retail stores, And I was laughing so hard when it went up that people were walking by the front window of my store looking in like, what the hell's going on in there?
What's he watching?
I thought it was beautiful. It was glitter in the eye. It was awesome. Now, the other thing, and I don't know if anybody read the comments to it, but that same video, you burned your dice in the exact same place. And I mentioned to you that that is a perfect setup for a horror movie. Now the spirit of your angry dice will have absorbed into the muck that used to be Nagash and turn into some sort of spirit creature bent on your destruction. So.
And now we have our Tomb King special character.
Yes.
And we've come full circle.
Nice. Nagash, spirit of dice.
There it is. There it is.
Awesome.
The dice. He's coming for your luck.
So MC1 Gamer specifically says that when he viewed it, he stood up and yelled at his TV.
I got a lot of real funny comments, and I got a lot of angry comments for that too. There was a lot of people that were upset because what a waste of money and blah blah. It's like, it was his money. He didn't hurt anybody. He's, lighten up. And there were a lot of people though that I can't watch these at work anymore because crying at work is going to get me to talk to HR.
But you got to figure though. I mean, with all the money we all waste on this hobby, if that's the way that that waste makes him happy, by all means.
Well, Death is a single guy who's employed. He's got some disposable income, and he likes to just watch things burn sometimes. His favorite quote is that one from Fight Club. I just felt like destroying something beautiful, and it's like, all right. Who am I to get in the way?
Question number 2, and this one is still at you, Lord T. Are you still smarting from Demonic Orchard's beatdown, or are you chomping for payback?
First of all, I was never smarting from the defeat. Demonic Orchard is a real good guy. He's a damn good player, too. And I enjoyed the hell out of our games. We were laughing and talking trash back and forth the whole time. Both games that we played, both at the local store that I'm at and at the Rock Wars GT. And it was a simple blast. And I cannot wait to run into him again so we can get another game. He is trying to get up here. I think he's just in Texas. But he is trying to get over here. I'm in Louisiana, and to get another game in soon. And I think he's embracing the Chaos Legion. I, of course, have embraced the Undead Legion. But any game that I get to play against him would be great. And he's great practice as well, just take it to a complete game side, because he's the one that took best general overall, or best overall at the Rock Wars GT. He won the whole thing. So to lose against someone like that is actually kind of an honor. So I have no problem playing him again. And if I almost got him in our last game. If you recall, there was very few models left on the table.
So the follow-up question of that is, now that you both have access to the legions of your respective army types, do you think that would change the outcome at all? The fact that you have access to Undead Legion and he has access to Demonic Legion.
I honestly don't know. That's a really good question. I don't know. It could. I mean, honestly, it could. I mean, if I'm used to, I'm already getting practice in with, mixing wet and dried undead. I don't know. I mean, he plays the demon side. So it could affect him, because if he plays Beastmen or Warriors with it, they break. They worry about all sorts of psychology and stuff like that, and he may or may not be used to that. I don't know what he's currently playing or whatever. I do watch his channel when I can, but I watch a lot of channels, so I can't always get to everything. So I haven't seen him playing around with any, Chaos Legion stuff. Granted, it's been out for a week. But I don't know. Like, if he played and he wasn't used to the psychology, and, for example, my catapult knocked away one of his units or knocked it out of position, yeah, I guess it could. But if he's better prepared than I am with his new Legion list, that could also affect the outcome. He could walk right over me, kind of like the first time. Who knows? But that's a really good question. I honestly don't know. It could. It very well could.
Well, I know he's mentioned because he just released his challenge to Nick Fensky for Alpaca, whatever it is, Wapaka.
Wapaka, yep.
Yeah, so he made some mention to the fact that he'll be using a Chaos Legion army there. So I guess he's already getting a little fired up for it.
Good, good.
So I'm actually going to change a couple of MC1 Gamers questions to more generally deal with our topic rather than just grilling Lord T. So he asked about skeleton archers. And interestingly enough, you tend not to use a whole lot of them, T. And the game Skip's played so far, he hasn't used a whole lot of them. So what are your guys' opinions on skeletal archers? What do you think their place is in the group? Do you like big units, small units? Let's actually start off with Skip on this one, since you and I have been jawing for a while, T.
Fine with me.
Well, I think that if you take the Colada build with an archer unit, it's going to dominate. Personally, I like the archers. I wish I would have fielded more of them in the game that I played, but it taught me that a lot of them will, make a difference here and there in, the outcome of the game. I have no problems with them. I'd like to see maybe 2 or 3 more units that I'd field with them. I don't know how T feels about them, but I like them.
What do you think as far as your unit size? I mean, what do you think makes how many skeletal archers in a unit before it's impactful?
The 10 just weren't working for me. I would say maybe a unit of 20 in 2 lines would be the best way. Would be so you get all the full shots there. That's what I'm going to try next time and see how it works.
So what do you think, T?
Personally, I hate low-strength archers. That's just my generalship, though. Keep in mind, a lot of Warriors of Chaos general in me still. A lot. But when it comes to archers, strength 3 that hits on 5s, wounding on, at best, 4s, and then you get your full armor save to it, if I do any wounds. It's not a game changer for the way I want to play. And in my opinion, if you were going to take archers in order to make a significant impact on the game, you have to take larger bricks of them. And what I've learned, especially playing against gun lines and stuff like that, is that's never a good idea, because any opponent worth his salt is going to see that and is going to get his units across as fast as he can to hit you. He knows that he can't hide from you, because no matter where he's at, you need 5s to hit him. And so what's the point? You go straight at him, and you get a hold of them, and then all those points go up in smoke because they're skeleton archers. They're awful at combat. They have no defense. At best, you're looking at, if you give them light armor, they have a 6-up armor save, and if you get your Tomb King spell off, they have a 5-up ward. I'd rather have skeleton warriors. At least they can get a 5-up armor. They're a little bit better at combat. It's just, I don't see the purpose of skeleton archers unless you're going all in. If you're going to go all in with skeleton archers, then yeah, you take like 6 bricks of 20, spread them all out, and you just concentrate fire. But you have to understand you're giving up all those points if anything gets into close combat with them, because they're not. I mean, Noblars could run into them at half the model count, and they're going to win. And that's not the way I personally play. That's just my personal.
Well, that's okay, T, but you got to remember, in this neck of the woods, Noblars run into bricks of trolls and win. So.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. I still say you should paint every single one of those Nobblers bright gold, too.
No.
So.
I did finally convert, and I'm waiting for my next ogre battle to show it off, but I did finally convert my Noblar Maneater. He's
perfect.
He's up on a big rock. He's got 2 bloody knives in his hand. They're like the decapitated heads of an elf and a human laying beside him. It's pretty awesome. So let me actually switch this question over to Michael. Since you play an army that is primarily toughness 4 in the dwarves, is there anything about skeleton archers that even makes you pause?
Massive numbers of them. Because
like, what do you mean?
At a certain point, if you throw enough dice, you're going to take things out. So, I mean, a 20 brick of hammer, or hell, I'll say a 20 brick of longbeards with shields. So 4 up armor. You shoot, like Lord T said, 6 20-man bricks at that unit. I'm not going to have a unit there. Because it's just, they're going to get through.
Mm.
It's doing so many wounds that you can't prevent it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really the only way it makes me any pause. Like 10 or 20 of them, I can ignore them for the most part. But more than 2 units of them will actually do something.
I can see that. I think for me, the only thing I'm really afraid of is, like, we used to have a guy who played Tomb Kings for a while, and he liked that Khalida list where you put 100 skeletal archers and Khalida in a single brick, and then you cast a smiting spell on, and they just delete units one at a time. So that kind of BS I'm a little twitchy about, but in general, I'm not all that afraid of strength 3 bow shots. I mean, the ogres are going to just kind of laugh it off. My empire could be afraid of it, but I mean, I've got enough hard-hitting stuff where I can get demi-griffs or a unit of knights into that unit, and it may take me all game, but you're not shooting with 100 archers you paid for, and I'm eating them.
One ambushing unit, one scouting unit into them, and
Yeah.
you got all day.
Yeah. So, question 2, and this actually deals with what may be my favorite special rule that the Tomb Kings have. Entombed beneath the sands. What are your opinions? I know Skip had a little bit of a bad luck with it the last time he played it, but general thoughts on Entombed beneath the sands, and would you ever work on like a list where that would be like your big trick, where you've like entombed everything and...
Are you asking me?
Either one of you guys, pop up.
Go ahead, bud. Go ahead.
Okay. I think it's good to have a splattering of it. I don't think it would be good to have an entire army based on it, because bad things can happen, and usually for me, the bad thing will happen. So you put all those points in it, and they never come up, and you lose them. I mean, I think it's good as a trick here and there, but as far as concentrating your full army on it, unless you're insane or just came out of Bugman's Brewery, I think that just a little bit here and there would work better.
All right, Lord T.
I agree. Putting too many points into the sands is a gamble. Putting one unit in is a gamble. That's why I only take the stalkers myself. But I have tried where I had the stalkers and I had a couple of scorpions. There was no battle report because I forgot my camera. But I played a few games like that, and it's too many points off the table for too long. And that's really what you got to understand is when you have Entombed Beneath the Sands, especially a larger brick, could you imagine having 6 Necropolis Knights Entombed Beneath the Sands for 3 turns? So for half the game, you got 400 points of your army doing nothing. And so at 2,500 points, I'm playing 2,100 against your 2,500, which is all on the table. And crap. I mean, if it doesn't come on until turn 3 or 4, it might be too late. By this time, you've dealt with so much else in my army that now the knights show up and you're laughing. You're like, oh, good, something else to kill before this game is over. So having 1 or 2 small point units, running around just to give your opponent something to think about is one thing. But to dedicate a substantial amount of your army to it, you might as. It's like if you forgot to put, all your special choices on the table, or if you forgot to take your slaughter brute. It was stuck in your case. You didn't realize it till turn 4, and you're like, oh crap, there's 200 and some odd points that never made it to the table. No wonder you had such an advantage. So
I've not yet done
that's just
that.
My opinion.
I've not yet done that with my slaughter brute, but I am pretty notorious for leaving my Thunder Tusk off the table.
There you go.
It's too big to fit in my army box, so I leave it here on a bookshelf, and I never remember to get it. I've played several games where I go back through the battle report, and I'm like, holy crap, I had the Thunder Tusk in this list.
Yeah, and it's just, but now instead of doing that, now you have your Thunder Tusk, but he might not come on the table, or he might come on the table too late because there's so many points wrapped up in him. You're at a disadvantage from deployment. So it's a gamble, and to put a substantial amount of your points into it is, in my opinion anyway, well, kind of suicidal. Just.
Okay, so generally, I think the general agreement is it's a cool rule, but you don't want to try and make an army around it. All right, so we have the last few questions we have is from Philomus. I'm calling him that because that's what his battle reports have been reported on. I am not even going to pretend to pronounce your real name, buddy. So, so he is. I think an exclusively Tomb Kings player. Every battle report or anything I've seen him done, he just does Tomb Kings. So his first question is, why do people try to play Tomb Kings as if they were vamp counts?
Because they're both undead, and it's, potato, potato.
I'm not sure whether he's asking whether the Tomb King players all try to play them as vamp counts or whether people try to react to them as vamp counts. But either case, I think the answer is, I mean, let's be honest here, vamp counts is far and away the more popular option and the one that most folks are going to have interactions with. So I think it's kind of just a mental shortcut. You see dead guys coming at you, you respond in a certain way. So Skip, let me ask. Let's put this to you because you actually did play the Vamp Counts army that's mine now for a while, and you've played Tomb Kings. I mean, what do you see as sort of similarities, differences, that sort of thing?
Well, I mean, the main difference that you're looking at, first of all, is that I believe that the vampire counts can cause their units to march. Tomb Kings, you can't. So you're just sitting there as one of the slowest armies in the book. If you're trying to play a vampire count type list with Tomb Kings, it's going to take you a while, excuse me, to even get to a point where you can start putting in your strategy, unless you take all chariots or something. So it's really hard to set something up with the ability of that the vampire counts have with the speed, with the ethereals, with the Blender Lord. You just can't do that with the way Tomb Kings are right now. It just doesn't add up. It doesn't have the ability to do that just in the straight Tomb King list. At least not that I've been able to find out.
Okay. So here is another question. I'm actually going to jump away from Philomus's question real quick because I think this is a nice lead into this question. The one thing that was asked was, is there any reason to play straight Tomb Kings now that Undead Legions is an option?
I would say yes. If you're just looking for a straight themed list, you like the Egyptian theme or something like that, or you're going for a fluff list, yeah. But or if you just don't like the Undead Legion rules, there's some people that I've talked to that just don't like it. They're like, I don't like these rules. I don't like where they're going with it. Some people just don't like change, but and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But it really just personal reasons. Tactically, no, there's not. And any competitive gamer out there that wants to play undead, even if you're exclusively vampires, what vampire count isn't going to try to take a casket? I mean, seriously, give me one good reason why a vampire player wouldn't take a casket of souls. There isn't one. And give me one good reason why a Tomb King player wouldn't want to take Hex Race or one Spirit Host or anything of the sort. I mean, together they're incredibly powerful, and if you're going from a competitive standpoint, in my opinion, no, there really isn't any reason. And the same could be said for exclusively vampire accounts now, too. If you're going for tactical reasons, there's really no reason to go exclusively VC, because combining the two, you can have such a much more powerful and much more versatile list.
Well put. I don't think I have anything else to say on that. Drop the mic. We're done. Um, did you have something to say to that, Skip? I saw your mouth start open.
No, I'm just to go along with the same point. If you're looking at it from the vampire count's point of view, even though we kind of discussed the do you want to take skeleton archers, do you not want to? It gives you access to shooting, and taking one of the catapults. I mean, look at that. Michael, in our game, it actually made a difference there for a moment where I actually caused one of his dwarven units to break with it. So you could add that to your already pretty good arsenal, using just the catapult there to have access to that. So it gives you a little bit more shooting than you had before, just being a normal, excuse me, a vampire count's army.
See, and I'm going to speak to this point as a non-Tomb Kings player. I mean, I play vamp counts, so that goes into this. And Michael, I'll be interested on your point too. I would have an issue as your opponent if you sat down and were like, oh, I'm playing this totally Tomb Kings list, but it's Undead Legions, just so you can benefit from the I can march, whatever, those rules. And for us, it's somewhat less important because we do themed lists because we're doing the narrative. But I think for me, there's the potential for a little bit of just gaming the system that could get annoying quick. I haven't seen it happen yet because we only really play with each other. But that would be my one potential concern about the whole Undead Legions. And now that the Chaos Legions bit is folks who aren't using it as it's intended, which is to create a dynamic, interesting story, but are just sort of cherry-picking the best things. And I think ultimately that's the difference between us and competitive players or tourney players. So what do you think, Michael? Any thoughts on the individual undeads versus the Undead Legion?
Individually, the vampire counts they're obviously a lot easier to play. Tomb Kings they're like Tremendous said, they're not a novice army. You need to know how to play them. I think really when it comes down to them being unified, it helps to benefit from things you can't get, and it helps benefit the Tomb Kings a little bit more in the fact that they do get the ability to march. Because you look at the dwarves are the slowest army in the armies. However, when Tomb Kings can't march, they're slower, less armor, lower toughness. They can take less of a hit than the dwarves can, which makes a huge difference. If they can march and go 8 inches instead of doing 4, they would have a little bit better of a time than they do now. As I can sit there on the other side of the table with dwarves and shoot them off the board before they ever touch me.
And he pretty much did.
Yeah. And that wasn't even my heaviest style of shooting list. I mean, that was 1 shooting unit and 2 war machines.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can see that too. And like I said, I am happy for anything that adds more options into the game. I just hope that this whole, let's put things into groupings of legions doesn't become kind of a shortcut for lazy army design.
Oh, yeah, no, because that'd be terrible.
And goes, we don't need to design a fully complete vampire counts list for 9th edition because we're going to slam it next to this Tomb Kings list and it'll be good together. Because I think ultimately that would be sort of shortcut at the expense of being able to play the kind of fluff theme armies that we like to play. So, and actually what you said, Lord T, let me ask you a question. I know you've been playing with the Tomb Kings and now some Undead Legion. Have you experimented very much with the lore of Undeath?
Honestly, I have not. I'm not a huge fan of it. Not because I think it's a bad lore. It just doesn't complement my particular play style. I do have a game against a vampire count opponent who did use it to great effect. He was able to raise a unit of 10 skeleton warriors right in front of my catapult and eventually killed it and my casket. He was able to raise up a unit of Hex Race and slammed him into my chariots. And the only reason my chariots lasted as long as it is because my opponent rolled poor for a couple of turns. And then he was able to raise. This one actually hurt. I'm stupid sometimes, and I move my caster out of the protective unit because reasons. And he raised up a unit of skeletons, skeleton archer, Tomb King skeleton archers, within about 8 inches of her, and there was about 10 of them, and they shot her to death in the shooting phase. So he used it to great effect, but the thing about it was that was it, though. I mean, once I realized, okay, I got to let him heal his units to stop the new units from coming out. Once I realized that, it was neutered. You know, he got his other spells off. Sure, he was able to regenerate his units, and he fixed up his Terror Geist long enough for me to charge it and kill it, but he wasn't able to raise any more units without irresistible forcing it, which was fine, but that's just it. Once your opponent realizes there's 4 spells from this list I need to stop, you're not getting those off. He's going to scroll it or whatever, and then he's going to go after that caster, and unless you kamikaze cast, 6 dice in it or whatever, you're probably not getting it, and is it really worth it for a couple of units or whatever? Because he ended up not winning that game even. So it's just one of those things where it's like, I see what the list can do, and I see how it could be really useful for... I mean, I would love to see an ogre caster running around with the Lore of Undeath, just sitting back in a brick of Iron Guts with the Rune Maw going, Hex Race, Skeleton Warriors, a Vargulf. Why not? But
well, I didn't go that far with the Rune Maw and everything, but you didn't see the battle report I did where where Torga, my butcher, ended up going undead lore for a game, did you?
I didn't see where it was overly effective. I have seen a couple of your reports where you're using the Lore of Undeath, but it's not you, man. I watch a lot of people's channels, and I miss some of them. I'm sorry. It's not personal at all. I love your reports. I've said that. I actually stopped doing narrative reports because you were doing them so much better than I was. But
well, I think the thing that we found, though, is exactly what you're saying. When it first started getting spoiled that this was going to be the case, everybody was like, oh my god, you're going to summon terror geists and blah 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 blah, and it's like, really, that's not the stuff that's scary out of that unit. It's the ability to crap out a spirit host or some hex wraiths at the right area, and I think it's surgical. It's a surgical lore. The problem is just like you said, you've got to get the right spells off, and if they can stop you, then it's a lot of waste. And the other thing I'm curious about is the other reason we kind of went away from it is we found it to be a logistical pain in the butt that was slowing the game down. Did you find that to be the case in the game you played against?
A little bit. My opponent was prepared. He had this up at the infantry and stuff. Of course, he had to get the movement tray. Had to put them all out there. He had to go through the points to make sure he did it all right because he actually burned some undead tokens or whatever for getting the spells off from that lore earlier. So yeah, and then it was making sure the point cost was right because you can build it up. However, if you were just adding a unit to your list. And so with the Hex Race, he spent 150 points at first, and he was like, oh, wait, can these guys take command? I was like, they can take a unit champion for 10 points. And so then he was like, well, I'm going to burn this token. It was a friendly game. It was fine. But it's one of those things. Now you got to do math real quick. You got to figure out if you had enough points, and then you got to put them out there and make sure it's within an inch, away from everybody. And, it's like you said, it's a logistical nightmare a little bit. He was more prepared. He had some practice with it, but honestly, I think it distracted him more than anything else, and I was able to capitalize on his distractions, and that's how he ended up losing the game. So that's just my opinion.
I 100% there. Hey, I felt the exact same way. I know the few games I played with it, it felt like I spent half the game with my nose in a book.
Yep.
And it didn't help much anything. So now that we've asked the have you, let's ask the will you. So Skip, any plans on dragging Lore of Undeath the Tomb Kings?
No. Mm-mm. Nope. I like their own lore. I like using that, so I have no desire to put the undead lore. I would take light before I would take undead.
Good choice.
Yeah. My Empire has definitely loved the lore of light. I find it so funny on that particular lore. So many people seem to just default to banishment cannons with that, and there's so many freaking good spells in that lore.
Or the river that you run through it.
Oh God, don't talk about the river. I'm going to dehydrate this world of water.
I feel the same way every time I play Bretonians. Every body of water I see, I just want to destroy it.
Stab it, kill it quickly.
Yeah. So like they give me their lists after these games so I could do the battle report, where his title for his army list would be Michael wrote "fuck rivers."
You know what? That's beautiful. Sounds like a great unit name for a thing of chariots or something like that. This is my chariot brick.
See, it sounds like a college rock band to me.
Yeah.
I could get there too.
And now the newest hit from Fuck Rivers. All right, so let's see. We dealt with Kalita a little bit. What do you guys think is the most interesting or iconic TK special character?
Nagash.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's the one that really brings them into prominence in every single chapter of their existence, makes them worth talking about for thousands of years now. In fact, he's the reason that Tomb Kings exist. So I would have to say Nagash.
I'm actually going to split it and not go with Nagash, because I don't think interesting and iconic are the same person for the Tomb Kings. I think iconic, the most iconic is Thetra the Great. I mean, your great warlord on a chariot. I mean, that to me is like Ten Commandments style Tomb Kings. Like that's what I think when I think about the army. As far as the more interesting one, what the hell's his name? Apope's the one who's like a swarm of beetles.
Oh yeah.
I think his whole fluff is amazing, and I'm kind of annoyed that he's not part of the army anymore. But I mean, just the idea that he's like this beetle king thing that has to go around trying to find an equal soul to barter against the gods of the dead. I mean, that's epic, man. That's epic and super interesting. So he would be my vote for that one.
Apophis.
Yes. So you voted Nagash too, Skip?
Yeah, I think I have to go with Nagash on this one.
Anything from you, Michael? I know you haven't really read the book.
Well, I've read a little bit online from what I can see. I think most interesting is the actual Tomb King, the Sepia or whatever his name is. But I would say the most iconic is Nagash, as everybody goes, "Hey, Nagash!" and immediately, I mean, he gets his own book.
Right. All right.
So maybe not originally he wasn't most iconic, but now he definitely is.
Right. All right, so last question from the billions of questions we got. What do you hate or fear the most about Tomb Kings?
Oh, God. The casket. Did you not see that last battle report I did?
Yes, I did.
Oh,
50% of your opponent's army from one freaking casket was ridiculous.
Yeah, the casket has the ability to destroy armies, and you just have to roll average on 3d6, and it will decimate your units. No, the casket every single time.
All right, Michael, what do you hate or fear about the Tomb Kings?
I hate the fact they can't march, and I absolutely fear the Casket of Souls as well, because that thing is... I am terrible when it comes to, hey, I need to roll this leadership most of the time, and then critical moment, oh, look at that, boxcars.
Skip?
Yeah, I need to concentrate more on my Casket of Souls next time, because that thing is pretty cool.
So what do you hate or fear?
I hate the march, the march rule, because that just it limits you in so many ways. That's what I hate about the army.
Anything you fear if you were to face them?
Other than the casket, maybe the catapults.
So let's see. For me, I most fear stepping on one when I'm barefoot.
Oh, okay, it's on now, tough guy.
No, actually, it really depends on the army I'm playing. I'll tell you though, my ogres are absolutely afraid of the Screaming Skull catapult with that upgrade. For an army that has to struggle to get 9 leadership, being able to just go, oh, here you take a single wound and now need to panic, is really terrifying. Particularly since, the ogres don't really get much in the way of ward saves. They don't really get much in the way of armor. So the likelihood that those pie plates are going to land on an ogre brick is pretty good. At least with the Casket of Souls, you know what's coming, and you can prep your Dispel Scrolls or dice, but there's not a whole heck of a lot if you're not packing the cannons and that sort of thing that ogres can do to get to the Screaming Skull catapults before they cause lots of problems. So that's my biggest fear from them.
It's a good fear.
It's a logical one.
Yeah. I think like an ogre. It hurts us and we don't know why. Run away.
I don't want to eat that, so I'm going to leave.
Right. So I think we've gone through all of the comments that were left at the beginning. I know we usually do these comments during the thing, but you guys gave us so much to work on, already over the hour mark here. But I do want to, I've been keeping an eye on the comments, and I appreciate Vince, Venturella, and Philomus are fighting back and forth for most number of comments this show. Suspiciously absent is Dark CT. Man, you're letting us down, brother. But I have to bring a comment by Vince to the front because the way he phrased it is awesome. He says, "Entombed beneath the sand is like candy corn. It seems like a good idea until you taste it."
Oh, why didn't I say that? That's perfect.
And his point to that, so we're not just laughing at his phrasing, is that with the TK's reliance on predictable synergy, they're not like Skaven who can tolerate that level of randomness. Essentially, just like you said, Lord T, is anything that you're putting beneath the sands is not something that is working within the web of that synergy from turn 1. And I think you suffer from it.
Very much, yes.
So awesome. Like I said, we've been going for almost an hour and 20 minutes. So I wanted to couple of little wrap-up things. First of all, just as a reminder, we are currently running the banner contest. So anybody who wants to send in some fluff about one of their units and potentially win a hand-drawn / painted banner made by my wife, please send your entries to Josh L. Merritt, MERRITT, @gmail.com, and we'll go ahead and get that set up. I think because of the massive run of GTs last weekend, we're going to do it for another week, so we do want all entries in by the 11th. That's next Tuesday. It'll give us time to review them before next week's show, and we'll announce the 3 finalists on next week's show, and then my wife will pick one, and the winner will be announced the week thereafter. So that is the last little bit. Next week, we are going to be doing another one of these theme shows with Bretonia, Our guest host will be Anthony from the Sustainable Center, who will bring his bucket full of rage and Bretonia knowledge to share with us.
And his hats.
Yes. But I did want to just say thank you again to Lord Tremendous. It's been a blast sitting here chatting with you and picking your brain on the Tomb Kings.
Hey, man, thanks for having me. This was a ton of fun.
Awesome. Anything you'd like to say or plug before we say goodnight?
Watch Mittierim's channel. His narrations and his storyline of him and his boys are to die for. I do enjoy watching them very much, and you should too.
Well, thank you. Anything you was?
I'm Batman.
And
Right.
I'm Robin.
Now I'm just seeing you guys dressed up like the epic rap battles from history when they took on Sherlock Holmes.
Oh yeah.
That's another
Great
good one.
game,
Yeah.
Let's do it, Skip.
All right, guys. Well, thank you again for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed learning about Tomb Kings, or at very least learning what we think about Tomb Kings.
Same
And
thing.
we will catch you guys. Right. And we'll catch you guys next week. Bye-bye.